Hello, welcome to Flooring Models Kit Review time. Today we've got two brand new products from AK Interactive. So down here what we've got is their Shine Enhancer. Okay, now basically this is designed to give you a great finish over their AK Extreme Metal range and things like that. It's supposed to make things glossy, but also it's a protective coat without using the metal shine and everything else. Now we know their stuff is quite fragile, but overcoating it can leave you with, let's face it, a very dull looking metal finish, because that is the point of using these extremely good paints. It gives you a very nice natural metal look. You can buff them slightly, don't overdo it, you rub through it as I did on this particular build. But generally it gives a very nice effect for metal, and I think probably one of the easiest to use as well. So if this stuff does work, and I say it does work, we'll be absolutely fine. So we have this stuff here, okay? Second up for our little test today, we've got this. Now this is, well, best way to describe it is another gloss dip. It's specifically designed for actually giving a gloss coat onto clear parts. So we're thinking canopies, dipping canopies, windows, things like that, and all the rest of it. So we thought we'd give this a whirl. But as you can see, both of them are very milky products, like certain clear used to be, although it's now clear now and all the rest of it. But what I've got is some canopies here, which, let's face it, they're not the best ones in the world. So we're going to scuff them up and see exactly how they go and how they dry. So for the moment, we're just going to put this guy out of the way over here. We'll do that one in a second. So we're going to grab a paper towel. Okay, we're going to grab some locking tweezers. Actually, we can probably have some finer ones as well. Okay, so the theory is that it basically is dipping canopies. Now, we've done this loads of times before. Go and have a look on the Flooring Models site, and we've got things about doing it and all the rest of it. So what I'm going to do is just going to cut these two off, and we're going to give it a go. Now, two drawbacks to dipping canopies and all the bits and pieces. First of all is when you come to remask it, you can get residue and the gloss coat, they don't like each other and they peel and everything else like that, okay? So generally, I don't tend to do this. I tend to polish, if anything, more. But if this works, then fair enough, okay? So your product number for this one is for AK 893. It's a 100ml bottle. It's about 8 quid, 9 quid. Okay, it's got a safety seal on it, so I need to remove this. As I say, I haven't done this before. Okay, so that's that out of the way. Now we can, nice thing I do like about it off the bat is it's a nice wide neck. It means I can dip straight into this instead of having to do it if we were doing the traditional way with clear, decanting it into something, dipping, taking it out, pouring it back in, and all the rest of it, okay? So what I'm going to do is I want to give this a little bit of a test. So I'm going to sand very lightly into this, just going to give it some scuffing on one, just to see how well it goes. So I'm not going to go massively on it. I'm just going to scuff up, as you can see here, one side of the canopy. Worst case scenario. That's really, you know, this is your worst one. But you can see these canopies are definitely not the best. They've got some blurring into them. They look quite horrible and all the rest of it. So making sure you get all the dust completely off of it first, okay? Then if we open this stuff up, as we can see, it's very bubbly, okay? So we just pierce that, okay? Now ideally you want to let it settle slightly for the bubbles to disappear, because bubbles get onto your canopy, then you've got to go around and popping them all and all the rest of it, okay? But what we're going to do, we're going to try this straight off of the bat just to see what we do get off of this one. So this is our scraped one going in first. So literally all we do, we're just going to come along and we're just going to dunk it right down. And I do like the way that you can get in there and dunk this. Now we have got bubbles on here, so we are going to have to run round, but you might be able to see we've got bubbles all on this guy. So what you want to do, take it over to your mat, let it drip off. If you touch it just in the edge, it will draw it all off. But this is the trouble, by shaking it first, probably better off to stir it on all the rest of it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to grab a small brush, put some on, okay, and then what we're going to do, I know it's difficult to see on here because it's white and white, the bubbles are all on the inside, so we're just going to stroke them off, okay? You can put this on by hand, or you can do it naturally, but what you're trying to do is get rid of the bubbles. You don't want the bubbles, alright? So what I'm going to try and do is re-dip this without the bubbles. So as you can see, I'm dragging this out of the way so I can hopefully get this down and in without any bubbles near it, alright? So when you're pulling it back up, do it very slowly so all the bubbles travel to the end. Again, bubbles, a bit of a trouble here. Okay, so then placing it on our paper towel, and as you can see, it absorbs down and off of it. And the weird thing is, can you see this? This is blue. Don't know quite why it's blue. Okay, but we're just doing this as a half a test. As you can see, it's milky, very cloudy, and all the rest of it. So what we're going to do then, grabbing our little springy clamps just here, we're going to again continue to get the excess off. Otherwise, if you leave the excess, well, what happens is you end up with a lump of it, and sometimes that can go a little bit yellowy and all the rest of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop this guy literally just like that. Okay, now this guy over here, he's absolutely fine, apart from he's covered in flash, but we won't worry about it. But we're going to try and dip this guy, which is absolutely fine. Okay, so he hasn't got anything on him at all. And what I'm going to try and do is get the bubbles all out of the way. What I'd highly recommend, give this stuff a good shake to wake it up. Then I would leave it for half an hour. So you can see already the bubbles are starting to go, but you don't want them in your clean, because you're just making extra work for yourself. Okay, so let it sort of hang down, but you can see that's got bubbles all over it, like Bubble City. What I would normally do, to be honest, is grab this from the other end, which we'll try and do a good one, shall we? Instead of just rushing this a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab the tip of the corner on the other end, and then hopefully what happens is the bubbles will all head south to the area where it doesn't matter, like that. Now, dipping canopies is one of those things. You can do it once, you can do it twice, you can do it 3 times a lady, as many times as you need. Okay, so you build up the layers, and theoretically, because each coat gets rid of all the micro scratches, the imperfections, and it makes it thicker and thicker and thicker, a bit like gloss work when we've been doing bikes and cars and aircraft. The thicker it is, the nicer the finish, the more glass-like it looks. Okay, so there we go, that's that guy in there like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and grab it just lightly by the top. Okay, and then what we'll do is we're going to pop these over here just for the minute. Okay, we'll pop the lid on. So far so good. It does seem to be drying okay. I can't see any problems. We've got a little bit, sorry about the phone. Okay, we've got, this is what we were talking about. We don't want this build up down here. So what you can do is just tap it on, cotton bud, track along the bottom just like this, just to draw some of it away. But it looks like this stuff's drying very quickly. But if you just run this down the edge like this, you can actually, going through my towel, this stuff is actually not future, I will tell you that right now. And the reason I know it's not future is because it is sticky as hell. It's like the only way to describe this is it's like a PVA glue. So what we're trying to do here is just absorb up the edge. Okay, but you can probably see that's actually working very nicely, I have to say. Now, normally you would cover this up completely to stop anything falling down on it. So obviously you don't want anything to come down on top, as in, you know, dust particles if you're using resin or anything else like that. Okay, so you want to keep that all off. We're just making sure this does clean up okay, and it does. Okay, so that's fine. Alright, okay, but so far I must admit we're very, very happy with that. Alright, so what we're going to do now, just clear this away. We're going to put them off to one side, keep them all nice and safe and all the rest of it, and then we're going to have a go with this stuff and see how it oversprays over a metal finish. Okay, so next up we've got AK's Shine Enhancer. So this is product number AK894. It's a 100ml bottle. Again, I think it's around about £9, £8.99 here in the UK. I'm thinking it's maybe a thin version of what we've just used there, but be interesting to see. Now, as we know, we used the AK Extreme Metals on this guy, and it's given us what I think is a beautiful finish. Okay, it's very hard to see this type of thing on metals, but as you can see, we've got no problem with decals with it and all the rest of it, but this was never overcoated. It was literally left as it is, very much bare bones, purely because I was worried about losing the metal effect we've had here. Okay, the one downside to using these types of metallizer paints and all the rest of it is their fragility, because we have got little wear marks, and where we were holding it, working with it and all the rest of it, we did actually lose the sort of, you know, the metal finish. It was starting to wear through. You could see primers through it. So if we have got something that will overcoat it without destroying the effect and the finish, will be absolutely fantastic. Now, to be honest with you, the wings, you can see them here on the close-up, have been overcoated with a gloss just to get rid of the silvering which we had with the decals on the wings themselves. Okay, because obviously it was onto white, it's normal paint. All right, so those were the only area which actually were overcoated. The rest of the model was never actually touched. All right, so what we're going to do, take it over to the spray bay and put this down and see what we get. Okay, so here we are over in the spray bay. So this is pre-thinned. We just supposedly dump it straight in. Now, I haven't used this, sprayed it. As you can hear, the seal's just broken. It smells just like the other stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do, just going to tip a little bit in here. Okay, pop the top on. Now, obviously this is a completed model. I wouldn't recommend this at all, but we will see what we get. So we're just going to put our lid on. Okay, so we'll just check our flow. Okay, just see what we got. A little bit high on the air pressure, so we're just going to knock that back a bit, probably to around about 15 psi. Okay, now for the purpose of this test, I'm going to hold around the cockpit area because obviously I don't want to spray the cockpit. Okay, and we're just going to put down a light coat, literally right over the fuel tank. Okay, and then we're going to come down this side of the model completely, and then we can do a direct comparison. So with Ever, when we're doing any type of gloss work, we are coming in nice and positive and putting down a good layer. Alright, so what we're going to do is just going to leave that now, just to see how that settles for the next sort of 10 minutes. Alright, and then we're going to come back and have a look between this side and the other side. Okay, so it's been around about sort of 15-20 minutes. Alright, so if we go back to the canopies first. Now this first one is the one where we sanded it and all the rest of it. And as you can see, now don't forget, this canopy was not very nice in the first place. In fact, it was positively awful. Okay, so don't think we're looking crystal clear through here, but what you can see is we have no longer a sanding mark down in here. The other thing as well, it is dry to the touch completely after 15 minutes. Now, as I said, I would double up and have a look at it before, but I have to say it's definitely improved this canopy no end. But this is the one we sanded, so from that point of view I think it's absolutely fine. All right, I have got some very fine hairs still in there, scratches still in there, but I think a second dunk, which I think we'll probably give it a go in a minute, we can see this one here, as you can see, is a little bit behind it, very heavy down the bottom. That's what we were saying about getting rid of the trap, but what I'm going to do is going to leave that in a little bit to see how it is. But again, this has definitely improved the opaqueness and the crystal clearness, shall we say, of the canopy, because again, these are truly awful to the point where they are definitely not nice at all. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to second dip now in here, because now our bubbles have gone a little bit. So we will need our paper towel. What did we do with our paper towel when we were shifting things? Well, here too. Okay. So again, just as we did before, but because we haven't got any bubbles here, we should be a bit easier just to come in. Okay, I'm just gently lifting up. Alright, so we're going to let it hang and drip and everything. But again, the one thing we noticed, this stuff's very thick. Okay. So we're just going to down onto the paper towel. And I say the big thing is it comes off when it's blue. That's not good. Don't try that, kids. Okay, so what we're going to do, because now we've ruined it and it's got a bit stuck to it, so we're just going to re-dip. Okay, letting it drip off. Let it drain through. Again. You know, now technically, as I said, you want to put this under a plastic tub, a container or something else so it completely dries, okay, with no problem at all. That's fine, just a tiny little bit more off the front corners. Okay, and what we'll do is we will let that go for the next few moments, okay, and we'll see how that dries out. So what we'll do, we'll hang it in here. Okay, but when you wipe this stuff off your bench, it's very reminiscent of wiping something thick off and all the rest of it. Alright, so there we go, that's the Canopy dipping stuff. So let's just get rid of those drips just on that corner. Alright, so we'll leave that one like that. Now, this guy. So hopefully, as you can see it down here, this is our side that we've done. Alright, and I have to say, it's okay. We haven't wrecked the model, which was my major worry. Now, if I show you this side, this is not had it. I'm trying to handle this without breaking it all. Okay, this is the original uncovered. Now, take a good look at this exhaust area as well as a classic example, alright? The rest of it is all very nice. It's nice and metallic-y and metally, okay, and exactly what we were after when we did this guy. But look at this area back here where my thumb is, alright? Underneath here as well, you can see it's all in there, no problem at all, alright? Now this is the other side. Okay, straight away, you can notice the gloss on this tail. So it's made that extremely shiny, and it has enhanced all the shininess. Now, have I lost the metal luster? I have to say, I think I have a tiny bit. And when I say a small bit, I'm just, when you look at it over the top, and I know it's very difficult for the camera because it hates metallics and all the rest of it, probably on camera it looks no different side to side, okay? But definitely I can notice a slight, this has got a more metal look to it down this side. This has got a more flatter look to it, okay? And it's just that tiny difference between something that looks very much like metal and something that looks very much sort of painted metal. Okay, this to me looks extremely realistic. This to me doesn't quite cut it exactly the same. But we are talking very, very finite amount. You know, when you look at it from this angle and all the rest of it, you can see no difference between the two. It's just literally catching it in the light, all right? That said, you're talking such a fine thing. If the entire model was covered in it, I don't think, honestly, you could tell the difference. You know, from a modeler's point of view of looking at it, when it's completely covered, you couldn't tell. Now, this is the example as well. If you have a look at this tail, half of it is done, half of it isn't. I bet you couldn't tell if I didn't tell you which side had it and which side didn't. It looks identical, okay? And this is the big thing. Now, if I was to overcoat this with anything else, I think we would have lost the sheen. But down here on the underside, you can probably see this side's quite glossy, this side not so. It's quite flat, especially this tail area is a classic example. You can see the one that's done when you catch it in the light, like there. As we roll it around, you'll see you don't get it as much here. But it depends what you want. Do you want this shininess or don't you? The tail as well, okay? Tail looking very glossy down over there. The tail on this side looking just as glossy and it will catch it, okay? But generally I have to say, and you know, this is honest review here, yes, I have been sent it, yes, I don't know where it came from, but I assume it's probably come from AK if I'm honest, alright? It's the best finish I've seen. Now, it does have a competitor, and we do have to mention that you can never find it in the UK, but that is this stuff. Okay, so what we've got down here is the Model Master sealer for metallizer. This was always my go-to brand if I'm going to overcoat this stuff. I'll be honest, I will probably go with this one. This one here is obviously, it's like a lacquer based, it smells and all the other bits and pieces. Again, we're back down to the acrylic line with this one. There is no real smell to it and all the rest of it. I don't think you want to drink it, but I think you'd be okay. But from a point of view of overcoating, ease, cleaning it out and all the bits and pieces, this stuff wins hands down, no problem at all. And I'm looking at to be honest, this is one of those things, I'm looking at this thinking, I'm being over picky. It is perfect. There is no difference between the two. It's just that literally, I know this model, I know this paint extremely well. I think by the time I spray the other half, and that's what I'm going to have to do, and I'm going to have to mask up the canopy and do the entire front of it, I think it will look fantastic and nobody would ever know the difference between it having and not. It's just literally, do you want things like the tail area down here? Do you want that to be so shiny? But then, you know, you can obviously pop over it again, or just mask it off so it doesn't get it, okay, and everything else like that. But generally, I have to say, I am extremely impressed with it. It's gone on very, very well. It went on extremely easy, as you saw, and it's dry. To be honest, it's dry, touchable now, okay? Where again, if you're using other products, might want to leave it a little bit longer. But what I'm going to do, to be honest, this afternoon is mask up the canopy again and respray the entire thing. That's how positive I am about this stuff, that it does work, and it does seem to give a very natural finish over metals. Now obviously you've got a couple of variables in here we do have to speak about. One is your airbrushing technique. Treat it as a gloss, okay? Back off the air pressure a little bit closer, and what I call positive airbrushing, i.e. it's nice, it's close, you put it on, you can see it going on like hosing down a car. It's that wet, it goes on there. This stuff is quite sticky, it will bite better than your normal sort of paint you've knocked up perhaps and all the rest of it. I had no trouble with runs or anything else like that in there at all. It was absolutely fine. But if you're spraying this stuff from a distance and it's drying out before it gets to your model, you're going to flatten off your lovely metal work, and it's going to turn back to looking just like aluminium paint colour and all the rest of it. So you do want to be careful how you're putting this stuff on. I'd practice with it a little bit, do a couple of other bits and pieces, see how you get on with it before you come in and actually paint it down with this stuff. But I have to give it the thumbs up, because as this is drying off, again, it's that thing. This is obviously continuing to dry and go off and all the rest of it. That metal colour, I think, is actually coming through. You know, you catch it down here on this back. This wing's had it as well. The entire side of this plane has had it. Literally, on the camera as you look at it now, the entire side of that plane from here onwards has had it. The other side didn't, okay? So again, there's very little difference. It's just that purely little bit of shininess to them. So I think from that point of view, it's going to be a winner hands down. So no problem at all. So there we go. That is this stuff. Okay, so this is the Shine Enhancer, AK894. Looks to be the bee's knees. As I said, it's around about £7, £8, £9 in the UK. Obviously, you can get it direct from them. Every stock is going to carry it shortly, I wouldn't have thought. Okay, and everything else like that. The other one, continuing, we'll come back to it at the very end of this. But again, AK893. For actually doing dipping. I love the way it's in a wide neck. I love the way you can just get it out and dip it in and all the rest of it. It is not clear. This is, I make this no bones about this right now. This is definitely not a clear, because it is far, far too thick. Okay, and I'm just getting rid of the drips. And again, even when you're trying to get rid of the drips, because they're drying now, they're getting quite thick. Okay, so from that point of view, you can tell again it's not just a clear, okay, and everything else. But there we go, looking really good. So we're going to let them dry, come back, and I'm going to be honest, spray the rest of this, and then we'll come back, have a look, and see our final thought. Okay, and there we go. So in conclusion, if we have a good look around now, these are dry. These are about an hour, hour and a half been on now. Totally cured, no problem. We've got no runs, no nothing. A couple of little interesting things. First of all, yes, I did drop the model whilst doing it. Front canopy, you can see how clear that is. That was airbrushed direct right over the front. No problem with that at all. Okay, so actually we went right the way over the entire thing. But you might notice we haven't lost that metal luster. You catch this thing in all the different lights, and what it does do is completely bury the decals very nicely into the actual finish. Okay, so no more carrier film showing through and everything else like that. So from that point of view, I have to say, this stuff, the actual Shine Enhancer, it works. I imagine you could use it very much as a gloss. Probably one of the nicest out of the bottle glosses from an acrylic point of view that I've used to date. Now this stuff, okay, which is the again the dipping agent, if you like. Again, we can see this is the one that had the big scratches and everything that we've put on there. Again, don't take too much notice of the Canopy because quite frankly it was horrible in the first place. This is by no means a nice Canopy, but again, crystal clear, no problem, totally dry. And from a masking point of view, right over it, I did have a go earlier. It seems to mask up very well. Normally I would give this a lot longer to sort of go with, but you can put your masking tape on, okay, and you get nothing coming off with it at all. It's absolutely fine, no problem at all with that. So there we go, that is our dipping agents and our glazing agents, no problems. It seems to be one of those products that would be quite handy to have on the shelf. Again, I like the way this has got an open neck, so you can just dip it in there, put the top on it, and you're good to go. Again, no problem at all. But this stuff actually works really well. So if you want to protect your metal finishes and everything else like that, like we've got down with this guy, then definitely I highly recommend you go out and get some.